Welcome to today's 5-minute Bible study in the book of Philippians. We're looking at Philippians chapter 4. Today we're reading verses 4 through 7. Now you recall that chapter 4 is Paul's conclusion to his letter. He is in his final remarks to the church in Philippi. Notice what he says beginning in verse 4. Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again. Rejoice. To rejoice is to find your joy in Jesus. Find your joy in the Lord. Joy has been a hallmark all through this book of Philippians. Actually, we saw this verse before, essentially in chapter 3, verse 1, where Paul says, my brothers and sisters, rejoice in the Lord. I told you then that Paul was beginning his concluding remarks there and then got sidetracked by that issue of the false teachers. But now he's back to it again. Rejoice in the Lord. Find your joy in Jesus Christ. And out of that joy will come a few things he wants them to know. First, he says, let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. When you know that Jesus is near, you'll have joy and you'll be gentle and kind in how you deal with each other. So let that gentleness be evidence to all that the Lord is near and that you find your joy in him. Don't be anxious, Paul says, about anything. But in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your request to God. In other words, to find your joy in the Lord is to lay aside the anxieties and worries that often plague us. And how do we do that? By simply going to the Lord and asking for what we need. We don't have to be overcome with worry or beset with anxiety because the Lord is near. So just ask him for what you need. With prayer, with petition, with thanksgiving, present your request to God. Be a people of prayer, knowing that God is able and will supply all your needs. And the result will be the peace of God, which transcends all understanding. This will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Now, this is a recipe for joy. And this is the way all Christians should strive to live. That's why Paul wants the Philippians to live this way. Take your joy in the Lord. Rejoice. Not only occasionally, but always. Rejoicing in the Lord. Be gentle with each other. Be kind. Be loving. Don't be overcome by worry. Don't let anxieties dog your trail. Just go to God with what you need, knowing he's always near, he's always listening, he always hears. He will supply all your needs. So whatever it is you need, just ask God. And the God of all provision will make sure you are amply supplied. And then his peace, his sense of wholeness and calm and tranquility will guard your hearts and your minds. Your heart, all your affections, all your love, all your commitments, your mind, all your thoughts, all your plans, all your ambitions, everything is guarded and protected and kept safe by the peace of God which holds your life. Now that's a good way to live. Remember that time on the Sea of Galilee when the storm had arisen and the disciples were afraid. And Jesus spoke to the storm and said, peace, be still. In that moment, the disciples realized that because Jesus was near, peace would guard their life, even in the midst of the storm. And Paul is saying the same thing to the Philippians. Peace will guard and protect your life. Even though the circumstance around you may be a storm, God's peace, a peace that transcends all understanding, the world cannot possibly understand it. But it guards you, it keeps you, it holds you. And it all comes out of your joy in the Lord. You're giving everything to him in prayer. You're being in his presence always. So rejoice, rejoice, rejoice. The Lord is with you, and let his peace keep you safe in the middle of his care. Now that's a word for the Philippians and a word for us today. Join us tomorrow as we continue in our 5-minute study looking at the last few words of chapter 4.